The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, is another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from MetalCloak, and Mr. Modern Jeeper, Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Rockstar Jeep girl, Jessy.
Hey, Matson.
That kind of came out like last night, Jessy. Rockstar. Let's try that again. Rockstar Jeep girl,
You're
Jessy.
melting, right? You're
There you
melting.
go.
It's because you're melting.
I'm melting. No, not inside the office. Like I went by the thermostat the other day. I was like, yesterday actually, I was like, why is it so freaking cold? Somebody had turned down to like 67 in the offices. It's 100 degrees out here.
Tell
Our
them to go
guys in
outside
our
and come
guys
back
in our shop are like working hard, and somebody
Yeah.
set the offices to 67 degrees. I'm like,
That's just not
insane.
right.
That's not
No,
right.
that's not fair.
I turned it up.
That's not fair. Yeah.
I've turned it up to 80.
in.
Everywhere but my office.
Well, it's not 65 degrees outside here.
No.
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 Yeah, we are.
But you're a human.
we-
And where are you located right now?
We just pulled into North Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville. And where are you staying?
We're just outside of where Rock Your 4x4. Shout out to the guys at Rock Your 4x4. Jason, his
Hoorah.
guys let us drop the truck and trailer at his shop, and it's being protected. When we left there, a couple of police off-roaders were there picking up their Jeep, and they told us they'd make sure the trailer stayed safe. So yeah,
Nice. Nice.
good.
It's
Little
just hot.
drone flying over it constantly.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
He
that's
did
right.
ask if maybe I could let him put he has a Land Cruiser, he said.
I think so.
He wanted to know if he could put a Land Cruiser on there. I said, well, you are law enforcement. I really probably can't tell you no. So
Yeah, we're gonna make you sign 20 different waivers.
Right.
right.
Uh-huh. That's
Yeah.
cool. So good. Well, that's nice. So you're out there. So what are you gonna do for the next few days?
Well, we unpacked the truck.
So we had to literally, we now are on about a 3.5, 4 day thing with our friend Mark Maynard and Jerry Bain up in West Virginia. So we actually have to be in northern West Virginia tomorrow by like 4:00, and it's about
Wow.
an 8-hour drive. So we literally pulled up at Jason's shop, unloaded everything out of the truck that we needed, put it in Jesse's Jeep, which I think we have a bunch of
Well,
stuff.
here's the thing. So usually it's him packing the Gladiator, right? So he has control in his head.
Well, he has
So I
the
packed
Tetris
my
map
Jeep.
fixed out. The
Yes,
Tetris
so he
map
has
is all
in his head
lined
what
in his
he
head. Yeah.
wants. And so separate vehicle in mine, I did all the packing in my rig.
Hmm.
So I think he's a little nervous that there
Right.
are. I'm
One
like,
of my kids.
I'm a
Mine.
packing queen. Are you kidding? I
Like,
bring everything.
We had to bring. I mean, this trip we were requested to bring a chainsaw, gloves.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So they've had some.
I'm sorry. Are you chainsaw certified?
I am.
I am
actually,
too.
yes.
You are
Mhm.
really. Oh, wow. Yeah. So PORA, the Post Wildfire Industry Recovery Alliance that I'm a part of, is actually doing that now. We're starting to do some chainsaw training.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
mean that's huge. Yeah, a chainsaw can really mess you up if you don't know what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, they've had some bad weather. Last year about the same time they had some storms go through West Virginia, yeah. So this year is going to be no different. They said they've got trees down and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think I have a change of clothes, and we got the
I
chainsaw.
think I have a change of clothes. I mean,
I told him he had to pack that. I wasn't doing that for him, but everything else is fine. It's fine.
It'll be fine.
it'll be fine. Yeah. What do they say? What's the line? Forwards, backwards, inside out, front, forwards, inside out, backwards for your underwear. Like you can wear your underwear 4 ways before you have to throw them out.
I was wondering where you were going with
Yeah.
that. 'cause I'm
So
like, what
that's-
is he
That
talking
one-
about?
So that's from what is it? What's the movie? Hero.
Oh.
Hero, was it Hero 6 or something like that? The
I don't know.
the
He's never. He
Disney
doesn't
movie
watch.
about the Disney movie about a robot and all this kind of stuff. But it's a cool
There's
movie.
a lot of Disney catching up he needs to do. It will happen.
Yes,
We talked
yes.
about it several times.
By the way, we never talked to Jessy about your daughter being a part of the team here now.
I know.
That's cool. Yeah.
She's
Good.
all excited. She got to be, I guess, your semi-quasi air-conditioned shipping department.
Yeah. She gets got to go in and out of that. Like she moved because she started out for a while. She was packing coils.
Packaging.
And she was packing coils. But the cool thing is that where she was and where the coils were at and where the packing table is right next to where we put one of those big giant 6x6 swamp fans, right? So it had a nice breeze going through. And now she's did well at that. So now she's working in the center section, which is it's not really air conditioning, but it's more, it's insulated. So it's kind of a little bit different. So it's a little bit cooler there versus the other where the welding and the CNC machines are and all that fun stuff.
Now she's already, how can I get to the welding? I'm like,
oh, really?
She weld in FFA. She did really well in FFA.
Really? Well, it's just a matter of talking about it and saying that you want to do it and making it known, because that's what happens. Make it known and you work your way up and eventually you're doing whatever it is that you want to do. That's a great thing about being here is people work their way up.
That'd just be even hotter though. I mean,
yeah, you're talking about full getup with the giant masks, because we don't just have to do face shields. They got giant masks with air systems for breathing, big big vents to suck out all the fumes at every one of the stations, right? Yep. Full on leathers to cover yourself and keep you from getting singed by a spark. So yeah, it's not fun, but the guys that do it, they love doing it.
Oh yeah. Doing it. But yeah, it's my oldest daughter, Nicole. She has been there almost a month now, hasn't she?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. She's doing good. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are you guys doing? You're doing this little event. So what is this thing you're going up to? I didn't quite, I know you talked about it. What actually is it? What are you actually doing?
So Adventure Appalachia is an event that Jerry Bain had started a couple of years ago. We had actually met Jerry through our friend Martin with Milestar. They'd come out. We were on that was Expedition 2, Expedition 2, the first XBDN event with Milestar, or the second one they did. Anyways, so we met Jerry then, and that's when we also got to spend some time with the U.S. Senator Mark Maynard and met a bunch of Jerry's folks. And it's kind of become this annual thing now, with it being right before Smoky Mountain Jeep invasion. It's a little bit more convenient. We can actually get out here and go out with them right before Smoky Mountain. So we're already headed this way, and we kind of thought, well, we'll just go out there the weekend before. And they take us to some pretty cool places around West Virginia. And Mark, being very involved in land use, and I mean, a lot of other states are kind of looking at what he has done in West Virginia as far as bringing those tourism dollars into the state and practicing responsible trail use, tread lightly principles, all of those things.
Tread lightly comes on our trips as well. So we do a cleanup on one of the days as well.
Yeah, so we'll actually have a cleanup day, and then a lot of these trails are intermingled with some of the Hatfield-McCoy stuff. So it's literally a 3-night, 4-day overlanding trip with kind of some little adventures thrown in, if you will. It's a lot of fun, and it's a good group of really responsible off-roaders, and getting to spend some time and hear about what their perspectives are on the east side of the world, instead of we're always so familiar with what's going on in the west. It's fun to see, they have they have a lot of the same issues, just differently than we have. A lot of the back roads in West Virginia, there's no maps for, and people will go out and either create a road, move a road, close a road, and nobody will even know about it. So they're trying to get in on trying to do a better job of maintaining these trails and making sure that they're being used responsibly.
A lot of history in West Virginia too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
Sure,
a lot of
sure.
the coal mining and stuff like that. So
Yeah, we got the coal mining, you've got the moonshining, you've got the
all of that.
yeah, the Hatfield McCoys. I mean, that's a
Civil
history
War
in and of itself.
stuff, all of it.
Yeah,
The whole shebang.
Yeah, you imagine going through areas going, well, there's some people who just shot each other right here, It's
We've been on some big battlefields, and Jerry will tell us all about it.
Wow.
And hidden caves, and it's just a really neat perspective. West Virginia is a pretty amazing place, and I never thought it would be amazing. I've been through Virginia, but West Virginia is definitely some hometown feel and lots of history.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Well, as always, jealous of your adventures and travels and things that you get to go and see and do and be. As I'm sitting here, office, it's like, hey guys, you ever notice my background rarely changes? Like that changes all the time.
Yeah,
it's always different.
Always different.
Well, we were talking about what it's like to drive across the country these days, and I think every road, I think all of the roads are under construction, all of them. Like every state, every interstate, which is good because our roads were in such bad shape. But even our drive today was supposed to be, we were supposed to get here at, I thought, well, 2:00 we'll be here, and we walked in at 4:30. And that's a lot of traffic, a lot of construction. We did do our good deed for the day. We were at I'll back up some. It was kind of funny. We were driving down the road, down the interstate, and it's semis. Like this part of the country, literally there'll be 40 semis in a line, and everybody's passing, of course, on the left. And a truck and trailer passed us on the left. And I mentioned to Jessy, I'm like, did you see that wrap on the truck? And it looked like it was they wrapped half of the truck down the center line and not the other half is kind of what I saw.
It was all fiery, and it was a small little enclosed trailer, just a small one.
Yeah, little trailer. And the trailer is kind of...
I'm like, wow, he's going a little fast for that poor little trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's kind of wagging around behind the truck, and I'm like, wow, he needs to maybe slow down or rebalance that thing. So anyways, we pull off at a Love's to get fuel, and it was weird. We got fuel, and typically I would be that guy that moves out of the way, but
we were coming off the interstate. He was going back on the interstate, and we waved at him because he had passed us a few times.
Yeah, and I just kind of waved, and he waved, and he's getting back on the interstate, and we're going to Love's. Well, we were kind of dragging our feet, and we went inside, and I was kind of they had a McDonald's in Love's, and I was wanting a burger, but it was only 10:15 or something, so they weren't serving lunch yet.
Dang it.
And so yeah, we were getting ready to check out. We just got a couple of things to drink, and this guy comes in the door, and he says,
he taps on his shoulder.
He's like, hey, is that your rig out there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and he starts off with, I've been following you guys for a really long time. And in my mind, I'm thinking ModernJeeper, MetalCloak, you're following the CTI trailer. And he's like, for a lot of miles. And then I was just wondering, I could really use some help. Okay. And we're kind of like, whoa, wait. What's wrong? And
hairs in the back of the neck going up.
Yeah, I'm like, well, what happened? Well, my trailer came off my truck, and I don't really have a way to put it back on, and I need some help. And I'm like, so we kind of got out of line, and I start talking to him some more, and he's saying that the ball busted off of his hitch, his receiver hitch, and he's like, yeah, I was in the truck that had the flames on it. We just passed it. And I'm like, yeah. But we saw you get on the interstate. We just passed you. And he's like, I made it to the exit ramp, and the trailer came off the truck. Yeah. So young kid, sales guy, and he works for a heating and cooling company doing, air conditioning and duct work and stuff like that. So we go back into Love's, and I'm pretty sure, well, obviously they'll have another ball you can buy or a new receiver or something. And this Love's had none of it.
Wow.
It was a small.
It was a
house.
small Loves, and their little diesel shop was, they had like yellow vests and driver's logs. That was about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the guy at the counter says, "Hey, why don't you go back out there to the tire shop where they are doing some
Behind
work
Loves.
behind Loves and see if those guys have something." So I tell him, "Look, you go head out back, and I'll pull away from the pumps, and I'll come around back and make sure that they get you taken care of, or if we can help." So we go around the back, and there's a receiver hitch and the ball and everything all assembled, laying on the counter in the back of this guy's desk. And they don't have anything for sale. And so the kid says, "Hey, that's exactly what I need. Can I buy that?" And of course, the guy says, "Well, it's my boss's. I'll have to check." And he's on the phone right now. And I come in, and I'm, standing around going, "Look, if we give me a wrench and that ball, and we can go put that thing on." Well, so the guy the guy that works there comes back, and he says, "Well, my boss, he'll sell you the whole thing, but he's not going to take that ball off there, and he wants $20."
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm like, "All right, sounds like a good deal." Kid gives him his credit card, and he says, "Well, it's got to be cash." Kid doesn't have any cash on him. So he runs out the door, and he goes up to the ATM inside Love's. I tell the guy behind the counter the story, and this kid isn't very mechanically inclined, but he's a super, super good kid, and comes back in. I'm like, "Hey, do you guys have a service truck?" Because with Jessy and I, it's full. The MetalCloak truck is full. I don't have
Right.
room for him to even take him back over to the exit. I'm like, "You guys have a service truck? Run him
So
back
he
over."
he had walked from the exit to
Yeah.
Love's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is probably about quarter mile, half mile, something like that.
Yeah.
So he comes out finally. The guy gets his service truck, and I follow him over to the on ramp where his truck was. Well, it turns out that he had a drop hitch on this truck. It was a kind of a lifted, like a GMC or something, but the part that had the hitch on it has 2 pins in it, right, to keep it locked into that location
The
on the drop.
sleeves.
He only had 1 pin in it, so it had kind of broken away the ball portion, and then the ball was only a 1-inch shank in like a 1 3/4 inch hole in this hitch. So the ball had been moving around
Oh
in
my
this
gosh.
hole.
And
The
wallowing
nut,
out that hole.
yeah, and the nut and the lock washer were long gone. So he gets dropped off. Guy from Love's goes back up, and I'm like, "Well, is the front of this trailer heavy?" And he's like, "Oh no, I can pick up the front of the trailer." I'm like, "Okay." So he picks up the front of the trailer, and we lift it off the ball, and of course the ball just comes out. The new one, though, we can't use that receiver because it's too much. It's not enough drop. So we have to take this ball off of the one he just bought.
And find another pin.
Find another pin for him so that he can. So
Yeah.
I'm like, "You got any big wrenches?" No. Oh, well, I don't have anything that big to take a ball off of the receiver. So he's an HVAC guy, though, pretty resourceful. He goes and digs around in the back of his truck. He finds 2 pipe wrenches, 2 very big pipe wrenches.
There you go.
And yeah, we took the ball off of it, put it in there, retightened it up, found him another pin. I had some clips in the truck just in my tool bag. So got him all squared around, and he was all worried because he was headed to Cincinnati, and he's going to miss his kid's soccer game. But
where were you?
We were just outside of
Nashville.
Nashville.
A ways.
Yeah,
Whoa.
kind of in a weird spot. Like there's not a whole lot of stuff out there. He could have gone to a Walmart, but with the hitch not really being attached the way it should have been, I think it would have probably broken itself off there again.
Yeah.
But super thankful. I think he was going to be about 30 minutes late to his son's soccer game. He still had like 5 hours to go in his
That's
drive.
like a 4-hour drive normally. Holy crap.
Yeah. He was still far from home, but
He came from Texas.
Yeah, and he was on his way from Texas picking up this trailer.
Yeah.
Long story gone
Wow.
south. Yeah, and but he so we get him back on the road and he takes off and we're headed down the road and 20 minutes later we get a phone call and it's him. He was wanting to know if I had a Venmo account and he wanted to buy us dinner and I'm like, no. You just get home and you go see your son's soccer game. And he was just, well, thank you guys so much. And nobody else would have stopped for me. And it's like, man, yeah, hopefully if we ever need help like that, we've already needed help like that. People always are nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, good karma.
It feels good to do the right thing.
Good karma. That's your good deed for the month. What are you talking about?
That's right.
That's huge. That's huge. And everybody kind of came together. Because how many times you see somebody on the side of the road? Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Yeah,
well, it was something so simple, so easily fixed with the right stuff. So yeah, boy, I tell you though, it's amazing to me at how many folks are out there that are not prepared. He's like, I don't pull trailers. I don't have any experience. When I was looking at his hitch, and I was wanting to replace his hitch with the new one he just bought, and I'm like, hey, let's take this receiver out. Do you have the key to take this pin off? Because it was a locking hitch pin. No. So it's a good thing it worked out the way it did because we were not getting that receiver out because he didn't have the key, nor did he know where it was. So
yeah. That's
You're gonna have fun with that.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's interesting. I find that to be fascinating. People go on trips or they do things, and they're like, "Yeah, I didn't bring that part. I didn't bring that key."
I mean, my company sent me down there to pick up this truck and trailer, so that's what I'm doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Didn't ask all the additional questions. Ask questions.
Right. Yeah.
But but I guess how do we learn? Right?
That's exactly right.
How do you learn? We learn from our mistakes. We learn because we make mistakes. If you send somebody out in the world and they never make any mistakes, are they ever going to learn anything? Right?
No.
So it's not.
And
like
you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want, but you're never going to cover the exact thing that you're needing to learn. You can get a general idea, but actually doing it, I guarantee you, when he goes out again, he's going to be all kinds of knowledgeable about that hitch and pulling a trailer.
Right. Absolutely. His next time. So you affected somebody positive for the rest of their life, and maybe he'll pay it forward to somebody else. And somebody else.
There you go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our podcast for the day.
That's our podcast for
the day. Where can we go from there? Corey and Jessy just save the world.
It's a good feeling though, and again, we travel enough that we see some. You see those cars on the side of the road that everybody's missing a tire. The amount of tire damage that is on the sides of the highways, it's just crazy to me. And again, we have a little spare. We got one of those little donuts right in the back of the car somewhere, honey, and then they get a flat and they go, oh, either there's no spare, or there's no air in it, or they don't have the tools to actually change it because the jack got taken out or something like that. Like all of those things, and we're not in a good. Yeah,
this is part of the challenge, I think, and the irresponsibility. We talk about a lot on the Jeeps world how a dealership sells somebody a Jeep, but doesn't teach them anything about it, what sway bars are, what lockers are, any of that stuff. They just say, "Here you go, congratulations, have fun," right? Yep. But there's a greater irresponsibility just in the general world of selling people cars, right? I'll take it on myself. We bought the Chrysler minivan, Chrysler Pacifica minivan, right? Great for all the kiddos, right? So, and then the first time I had a flat tire, I went looking for the spare. I'm looking underneath the back. I'm looking underneath the belly. I'm looking all over, where the hell's my spare? So I go look online to find out, only to find out it didn't come with a spare. It has one of those air pumps, and the air pump has the switch where you can switch it and it puts the gooey glue out. So it comes with it. So you go in, you turn it one direction and you put it on there and it goes and it puts the gooey glue into your tire. Then you switch it the other direction and it starts filling up with air. And
Huh.
it's like the slime stuff, right?
It's like the
just
slime
it's
thing.
the slime
Yeah.
stuff, and that's what it came with. That's what it comes with. No spare, a little machine to patch your tire when you're in an emergency. And then, of course, you're supposed to go and get that replaced and fixed real quick because, and of course,
Right.
now I'll carry, I'll put air into it, and then I always carry a plug kit. And
What
that sort of
happens
thing
if
with
it's
it.
in a million pieces, though?
Yeah, the tire falls apart, you're in trouble. Call AAA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's just how it was. But nobody told me that. Maybe you're supposed, well, you didn't read the owner's manual when you got it, obviously. Who reads the owner's manuals anymore in cars, right? Like, you got to figure these things out. But it's just those educational things like, here is a short briefing video. All you have to do is give somebody a video, and here's the briefing on your vehicle. This is what this switch does. This is what this switch does. By the way, you're looking for a spare tire?
That's a great idea. I mean, Jeep did that with the soft top, I think. Didn't they have like a little short video you could watch about how to remove the soft top or something?
Maybe, yeah.
But they need to go through the general functionality of it's been, I remember years and years ago, I remember a guy breaking in an axle, and we were going to talk about this last week, and we didn't get a chance. But it was a full float rear end that he had in his, it wasn't even a Jeep, it was a pickup or something. And I'll never forget, I watched him pull that axle out of the rear end with his tires still on the vehicle. This, like I said, just a long time ago, but I remember thinking, that's what a full float axle is. How does that even work? And without ever seeing it, you just don't get a vision for it. It's like, now wait a second, you can just pull the axle out with the tire still on there. You don't have to, it's not attached to the wheel. Like, how does that even work? So again, until you see it and you understand it. And of course, now the new Jeep option for 24, I think it is you can get a full float rear end. And that's kind of a big deal, because that actually takes a lot of the weight of the vehicle off the axle shaft itself. It lets a lot more torque pass directly to the tire, and it takes a lot of these pressures off. But it's just, I don't know, until you are around it or see it, or you don't understand it. And for our listeners that are like, yeah, what's this whole full float thing? There's a bunch you can find all kinds of information about full float versus a semi-float axle and the differences between the two. And literally the semi-float is carrying the weight of the vehicle, whereas the full float's riding on a giant bearing and a spindle, if you will. So yeah, good stuff.
Well, that's a tech of it, right? Our vehicles are more and more complicated. Yeah, I remember, I used to work in service. I grew up working in service stations, right? And they were super simple, right? Hey, you want to check, and you should never really do this, and this is not recommended, but older cars, you want to check to see whether or not you have a good battery. You take a large screwdriver, touch the positive and touch the body. There's a spark. Your battery's good. You do that now to a car, you just fried all the computers.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done.
But I tell you, just you got a spark. Right. Okay. Well, it's not that, we got spark, we got fire. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Checking it. Yeah. Right. Checking it, pulling out the plug. Oh, I got spark. Right. It's checking to see if you have, yep, it's got gas on it. I mean, there's
Yep.
But these days you've got to be careful. There's just so much complication in it.
Well, I was reading the other day, something came up, and I was thinking about the new Jeep 8-speed transmission. There's no dipstick.
You
can't check fluid in that transmission.
No.
And that's just bizarre to me. But
and on my minivan, I can't change it. I can't drain it. I can't check it. I have to take it someplace where they specially do it. So if you want to know whether or not you're okay on the minivan, I got to take it down and go, here you go. And then the professionals have access to it.
Yeah.
Our common folk can't do it anymore, right?
Nope.
Yeah, we're heading down that path with a lot of that stuff. So
they better get to training some people.
Yeah,
well, it's that thing.
Like more technicians.
That's right, technician. Oh, get on a technician. We'll get technical. Get technical, but that's the thing. It's like everything's about, and now it's to the point now where you plug in the computer. Okay, what do I need to do next?
Well, and yeah, if there's no codes, then there's nothing. It may be acting funny, but unless there's a code that they can actually read from, warranty repairs are big about that. And I think that it's not just Jeep, Stellantis, Chrysler, Ram. It's on a bigger scale. That if it doesn't throw a code, they can't really diagnose it. So yeah.
And they're not going to pay for the old school way of diagnosing. Well, let's try the cheapest thing first. Nope, it's not the distributor cap. Let's try the next cheapest thing. Nope, it's not the spark plugs. Let's try the next
distributor cap. That's the guy who it's his. Yeah, he's the truck driver, right?
What's that?
He's got a distributor cap on.
He's got a distributor cap. That's right. I'm wearing my distributor cap today.
Sales.
That's right. Oh man. Man, man alive. Yeah, but that it does come down to it. The whole idea of the technology for rigs and what we've got to do and how we got to wheel and how we got to play and how you do it. People need to be taught how to use it, right? And that's why forums are thriving again in different groups. How do I fix this? How to fix it? But if you don't know how to ask the question, so here's the thing. In my family, my wife has had a lot of interaction with doctors over the years because of her thyroid issues and that sort of thing. And she learned early on, and she's a powerful force when it comes to when she wants to learn something, she does it, right? She learned early on with her doctors never to take them for granted. So she knows what she wants when she walks in at a doctor, and she'll have a long conversation with them. She'll argue certain directions. She'll think about certain things, right? So like when I have to take I took Jack over to a doctor to look at his iron levels, and the doctor immediately says, well, we're not concerned with him because he's not anemic. No. We know he's not anemic. We do know that he has low ferritin, which means X, Y, and Z. So let's figure that out. And the doctor kind of looks at you like, huh? Well, no, I don't really care about that. I care about, no. I don't care what you care about. I'm here to learn this, right? And this is what we were trying to figure out is why is this happening? And you have to advocate for yourself. Well, if you don't know to ask those questions, I'm the guy who walks into the doctor's office and go, Doc, this is what's going on. And he's like, all right, well, here, this and this and this and this. I go, okay, sounds good. But if you don't know to go, whoa, wait a second. Is there something else I should be with? Does that seem right? So you walk into a mechanic's office and my car is acting up. Okay, it's X, Y, and Z. But if you don't know to ask, or if you don't know what you need to ask,
if you don't know the lingo, the terminology, the
or
how
that
to
something
ask.
is right or wrong, yeah. If you don't know, if you're not mechanically inclined, you're just going to go, okay.
Yeah. You're talking gibberish. So whatever you need to
take my credit card,
that happen, I guess. And yeah, here's my credit card and knock yourself out.
I don't know what I got.
Yeah.
I don't know what I got, Doc.
Yeah.
Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
You know, it's funny, and this has been an evolution, and it reminds me. So a couple of days ago, I got a call from our friend, Mr. Greg Cottrell, down at Rugged Radios, and
I just missed a call from him.
He was trying to get a hold of you, and he said, I gotta tell you about this new lift I just put on this JL. And it's funny for a guy like Greg who has built so many different vehicles, so many custom rides, and so much cool stuff, and has done so many things in the off-road industry. And he's like, this thing just went together. It works so well. And he goes, he wasn't used to that. And he's like, this MetalCloak lift it's bananas. Like it looks so good and everything just fit. And he's like, remember the days? And we started going down this memory lane of when you got parts, you had to modify them. You had to change them. You were ready to cut, drill new holes, make things like that's just what you did because the fitment to the manufacturing processes back then were so different than they are today. And it was just kind of fun to talk to him. And he was really blown away. He was super happy. And it was just kind of fun to kind of go, yeah, remember those days when instructions weren't like, if you got a picture of what the finished product, like that's kind of where you aimed for. You just kind of figured it out. Yeah.
And I remember when I got my rock hard cage for the YJ, it was a single sheet of a bunch of lines, 1, 2, 3. And it was just, like, how do I make these 2 back ends actually fit? Because they're not Like
Yeah.
they don't
Do
come
this
together
first,
like
because otherwise you're not going to get any of that. Yeah, and if we did that today, people would be beside themselves. But you know what?
right.
We figured it out then. It was just, I don't know. Are we getting dumber? Maybe we're getting dumber.
Well, it's funny you say that because things keep popping up. Like just 10 years ago, this movie was acceptable, and now it's not. Like
No, it's not.
it is an amazing transition we've had in what is expected, what is intellectually expected from people, and what isn't. Right? We talk about it before about just is that the dumbing down of America, but really is it this idea that, well, do I really have to? Like, do I really need to do that? We get customers, I love all of our customers. So I'm not disparaging any of them. You guys are all awesome and I really appreciate it. But sometimes I had a customer send a message recently and I have to talk to him about it. There were some other things that he had some issues with, and that's fine. There's issue with it. But he had something like, how did he put it? And I forget the exact wordage, but it basically said that our tie rod bent under normal load. And I'm like, if you think that there is such thing as a normal load against a tie rod, there's a problem, because you shouldn't have any load against your tie rod. There's nothing normal about a load against a tie rod. But like, this expectation, like under normal load, your tie rod bent. Okay, so but this is the viewpoint, right? Somewhere along the point, he got that point of view that there's such thing as going and wheeling and just having a normal load against a tie rod.
Not supposed to hit it, man.
Yeah. But then if you come back and say, well, maybe you need to learn how to wheel.
See, I tell people that all the time.
Hmm?
Like, you need to learn to drive, people.
You need to learn to drive. You need to learn how to drive, people. By the way, there's a thing called Skills Day.
It's not a ramble rod.
And I just got asked. Now I'm saying this on the podcast because it may or may not happen, but I'm saying on the podcast as impetus. But I just got asked whether or not we'd like to do a Skills Day during the Holly event. So you guys going to be out there with the CTI trailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a question is whether or not we want to try to do a Skills Day that same time. And so
maybe I think, I don't know this for sure, but I think some folks maybe from Warn and Factor 55 might be out there as well. There might be somebody out here on the East Coast that teaches some. I
know people.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure who's already scheduled to be there, but
I don't know.
We might be able to put something together.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to do. I mean, we'd have to send somebody out from here who's done the Skills Day and kind of do it and help run it. And then we also have to get, the problem is figuring out like, okay, so what's the layout? Like, we have to get out there 2 days ahead of time and go experiment. I can't come out because of just kids' school right now. Which is part of the original plan was for me to go out there with you guys and then go down to Tennessee and take a look at some other properties for potentially doing some other stuff. But at least I can't do it during the week. Like I have to come out maybe and just like do a red eye on Friday night and try to be out there for the weekend, but we'll see. But yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, the whole idea is we want to bring out more skills days, because if you do your skills days, you would learn that there's no such thing as a normal load against a tie rod, guys.
Right. And we'd actually, we can kind of go through things like, we had that pretty crazy recovery that we did in San Juan Mountains. And, I probably should bring that up a little bit, as frustrating as it's been to watch social media recently. If you're a follower of the San Juan Mountains trail group on Facebook, there's been a whole lot of talk about Black Bear Pass this year. And it's really hard for me to wrap my head around, but people are really feeling like they're
above the law.
They can, even though the county has not officially opened the pass, they've gone up there and cleared the snow, and then a Toyota went up there and kind of went off, and they've had to bring up Telluride Towing and extract this vehicle, which basically shut down the trail again. And the sheriff has come forward and said, this trail is not officially open.
There's a lot of mitigation.
People are saying that, well, that's a bunch of crap, because if I can drive it, then it's open. And when did we become so, this whole chip we have on our shoulders, it seems, people are saying that it doesn't matter if the county closes it, I can do what I want. And that means that the county is saying that they're closing this trail because they're going to hinder the tourism dollars. They're making it, I had a vacation planned there, and now I can't go do this trail, and I pay my taxes, so the county needs to do a better job of keeping these trails open, because they're very, very important. And I'm there, and I'm going to go do it, damn it. I mean, this is just, I'm beside myself. I can't even, it makes me crazy. And the fact that people think it's owed to them, that the county goes up, they're short-staffed. They don't have an extra grader to go up there and maintain this pass. And people
there are
are
other
like,
things that need to
we
be
went
done
through this.
first.
We went through
There's
this
a
whole
job
period.
like-
This whole period starting 2019, 2020, right?
Yeah.
Where basically what we've learned in the last several years is that the law isn't really the law.
that's
Like,
right.
right? If all these guys are allowed to just riot in the streets, right? And I'm not getting political, guys. I'm just saying, from the standpoint of fact, people were allowed to riot in the streets, and the law wasn't allowed to do anything. Or you get drugs, right? Like, okay, so drugs have been illegal for my entire lifetime, and all of a sudden they're illegal. Why? Because just it's a simple thing on the law. Well, if they're illegal in that state, they're legal in that state, then why should I have to deal with it in this state? But it's becoming increasingly, you can see it around you. You and I were just talking about earlier, like people just jaywalking. Like, I'm just going to walk across a busy road. Well, so because why? Well, if I hit him, obviously I'm at fault, and his insurance company's going to sue me up, or whatever, right?
Yep.
But or his lawyers and go after my insurance. It's this world of where it's all about me. It's not about you. I don't need to follow the law because the law is not there to protect me anymore.
That's right.
It's us versus them. So here's another case. There are some rules out there. I don't care about that. I see it at a micro scale at my kid's new school. The headmaster has set out a very specific plan. They call it driveline. You enter into this road, you follow this pass, you're going to cross several intersections, and you go into the school. This is the pass. All the parents are lining up on that pass. And then you got some asshats who decide the rules don't apply to them and just cut in front. Like come in off of the street right in front of the school and just cut right in front of you.
Yep.
And it's like, so what are you teaching your kids, or what values do you teach your kids? And I see it all the time. See it, several parents dropping off, cutting people. It is truly the same standard of, well, the rules don't really apply to me,
Right.
because I'm better, or I don't really want to follow the law because what has the law done for me? The law is just that it's not really black and white. It's kind of a gray area. It's not really the law. It's just more of an advice.
Yeah, it's kind of a suggestion. It's kind of,
it's a suggestion.
It amazes me that, and people, we talk about losing trails and stuff getting taken away from us, and this is exactly how we get there. The sheriff in San Miguel County right now, I mean, he formally issued a little statement on the San Miguel County's Facebook page and said, these ass clowns went up there and opened the trail themselves when it's not open. Now, we shouldn't have to go up there and chain this thing off. And oh, by the way, if you go up there on your own, it's going to be, you could have to spend the night up there. You could be in serious danger. You may die. But people are going, I don't care. I can go up there and do what I want because I'm an experienced guy. And so this group went up there, and this Toyota, he got himself in a very bad spot, and he couldn't go forward or backward because it was going to slide off the hill. And he was 1,500 feet on the side of the mountain. So,
wow.
And there was like 24 vehicles in back of him that couldn't back up the road. So it just basically locked everything down, and it just became a big mess. And people are still complaining now about how it's really not his fault.
We cleared the trail.
The county should have done a better job of mitigating that road and helping make sure that was safe. Well, it's not open.
They told you it's not open.
They told everybody it's not open.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's the idiotic part about it is like, here are the rules. If you follow the rules, you're fine. If you don't follow the rules, you're in trouble. I keep going back to my kids. I see it every day in my household. Hey guys, no fighting. Fighting
Right.
starts, somebody gets hurt, somebody starts crying. It's like, well, if you listened and said no fighting, nobody would be hurt right now.
Right.
I think
But
they
you
should
didn't
just take
listen,
Black
you
Bear
stood there.
Pass off the Jeep Badge of Honor trails for a while.
Yeah, I think
Just
that,
saying.
That's a whole other story. We started talking before about
that
that.
is a whole.
Really-
I
There
I
really
wish
should be
they'd
a
actually-
campaign against Jeep. Like, Jeep, just get rid of the badge of honor thing. It's just dumb. It's now becoming dumb.
It is.
it's just becoming this race to compete with each other, and Black Bear Pass is a very iconic pass, and I totally understand. But guess what? You want it to be there next year. Just because you had a plan to go there and it was closed this year, so come back next year. It's not a big deal. And I just can't believe that folks are they're so narrow-minded in
That was our plan for vacation, and you
this was
ruined
our only thing we've ever wanted to do in our whole life, and now we can't do it. And so now I'm going to just be angry forever. Like, really? Wow. You need to
Right.
find some other things to do there. my
Well,
friend.
let's all equate that to Paris Hilton hanging out on the beach in Maui when they were everybody was asked to leave. So
that was another thing
Yeah,
on
this,
Facebook.
this morning was I'm planning a trip to Maui for my vacation, and if I get there and I can't get lunch or dinner at my favorite restaurants, then I'm not even sure if I'll ever go. Like,
well, yeah, you're
do
being
you
asked not to
understand
go.
You
what's
heard the
happening?
news.
Yeah, like, yeah, non-essential personnel should leave the island. That means
Yeah.
non-essential. If you're a tourist, you're not essential. Sorry,
No,
guys.
it turns out you're not.
You're not very essential, right? Well, we have two guys. Bobby is supposed to leave next week for Maui. Rob, it was supposed to in a month go to the little town that was destroyed. Lahaina.
Yeah.
Like, he actually had an Airbnb. And it was kind of interesting because they reached out to Airbnb, and Airbnb said, no, that facility has been burned down. Well, process it.
Refund.
And then the owner of the Airbnb said, no, it's still standing. You're good to come out. It's still standing. I'm not giving you a refund. Like,
Wow.
well, wait a second. So and Rob's argument, of course, is, well, on your display, you talked about all the amenities and all the great things we can go do. Well, we can't do any of that stuff. So now you're false advertising. So we want our money back. I'm sure there's a process for him to get his money, but yeah, it's like they were supposed to go out there in a month. And I
Stay
mean,
away
our
from Maui.
heart goes out to all those who've passed,
Yes.
all those families that
Absolutely.
were lost, all
Yes.
the destruction. It's very similar to what we experienced up here when we had the fires.
Mhm.
And it was just, and it just destroyed that town so quickly. I mean, and I've never been there, so I don't have a personal connection, but everybody who has says it's just like, even Louisa had been there before. It was the cutest little town, and it was, it's all gone.
How did we get to a place in our society where when Death Valley says, hey, it's 129 degrees, people race to Death Valley so that they can shoot a picture for social media of them in the hottest it's ever been and possibly die, but it's okay because I'm doing it for the gram. And
well,
let's
the
go to these-
dopamine rush that we get from being acknowledged and recognized, right? And there is a attention. I think it was a phrase I listened to recently or whatever. It was something about, the getting attention is one of the greatest forms of acknowledgement, right? So people want to get attention. So in their lives, and I don't care if you're an influencer or whatever, but getting attention is a great rush. And in a world where we don't have what's around, life is pretty okay. I mean, you think about how we are. I was just listening to a podcast about simple things like real estate. Real estate is actually a very easy process in America. It's not that way in the rest of the world, right?
No.
Shopping, groceries. We have so much abundance in what we have in our average little town that the idea of survival, which is the main instinct of man, is to survive, is super easy. So what do? You create complication in order to make life a little bit more interesting, because that's what we do. We thrive on complication, right? It comes right out of the Matrix. the matrix couldn't be perfect. It had to have complications so that we could thrive and live, because without that desire to thrive, so we put ourselves in situations and dangers. We become procrastinators like me. So I'm always rushing to try to get something done. Or
It's
you
that
put yourself,
rush.
yeah, it's that rush. It's like that win, that dopamine push, because I got something done, but that comes out of the survival of life. So these people put themselves in positions because they want to get attention. They want to get, because otherwise life is pretty freaking boring in the United States if you're not trying to like do something like that, right?
What did we
So
do before?
yeah, what did we do, right? So now we put ourselves in positions where, and it goes back to talking about the law, the dopamine rush of avoiding the law, of speeding on the freeway, of, you know, you watch these videos of people going and they're just going, what are they going to do? Oh, I'm going to speed.
Or jumping at the Cabela's fish tank.
Right.
Yeah, John. I watched a guy next to us today down I-40. I was already going like 65. He pulled up on his sport bike, looked at me, popped a wheelie, and rode his wheelie for another quarter mile beyond me, going like 95. And I'm like,
yeah,
cool.
Well, there's the little videos that pop up on TikTok and stuff of some guy running away, like he's got his camera on and he runs away from a cop, like he rides his motorcycle, you know, through all these towns, all these areas, and he's like through his town to run away from cops. Like, okay, great, thanks for doing
Post
that.
it, please post it. And you're gonna be arrested.
Man, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, that being said, the great thing about the Jeep community is that we are mostly awesome people who like to help people and pull on the side of the road. And like I said, Corey and Jesse, you might have just saved the world today.
That's nice to know, though. At least one person, anyway.
We'll work on saving the rest of the world down at Pigeon Forge for the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion.
Yeah, that's next week, right?
To be saved.
Yeah, so we'll get out of West Virginia Sunday morning, I believe. We'll get turned loose, and then we'll start heading our way to Pigeon Forge. We'll be down there on Friday or on Tuesday, and then come back here, get the truck and trailer, and then head to Pigeon Forge and start setting up. So it's going to be a huge show this year. Looking forward to seeing everybody. New layout, and we'll see how all that goes. But you know, until they bring in like AC air conditioning to the outside. How would they do that? I'm not sure. They need to build we need to be in one of those tennis court bubbles.
Here's what you need to do is you need to get one of those like enclosed style, like all four walls, carports. Put the CTI trailer inside of that, and then have a big fan like blowing from either side, like a half pint, just so that the area in there is just circulating. It's a little bit cooler when they're lifting up inside. So you just
Curtis, bring your misters.
Yes, Curtis. I'm gonna miss everybody out there. Appreciate all of you. But yeah, Smoky Mountain Jeep Amazing. That's next week, and get out to the booth early because we have a whole bunch of them. But free T-shirt this year. The T-shirts are red, white, and blue, featuring the logo of the state of Tennessee.
Nice.
So yeah, cool. Well, God, anything else, or we just kind of covered it all? I think we have.
Yeah, now it's time for us to find food and repack a Jeep.
And get ready to head out early in the morning for an 8-hour drive.
Yes.
Boy, I'd sit there and go, that's tough, but you made the plans, so.
This is true.
All right. Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, thank you for joining us for another great episode of the Modern Jeeper Show. We appreciate all of you who hang around and share with us. And, take that time to smash that like button or give us 5 stars if you made it this far. And even if you didn't and you don't like this show, that's okay. Still give us 5 stars because it helps the community learn more and do more. And you can get a hold of me at Matson@MetalCloak.com, Corey at MetalCloak.com, Jessy at MetalCloak.com, right? Of course, you can reach us over at ModernJeeper.com and CTI Tour over the Facebook page if you want to see where they're going to be next.
Yes.
That being said, appreciate all of you, love all of you, and we'll see you on the trails.
Cheers.
See ya.